All right, let me talk about this Call of Duty versus Battlefield beef that's going on right now between both player bases because I find it to be rather stupid. So, first of all, these are two different games and they play entirely different from each other. So, when you try to compare, I always find it kind of stupid. For example, we know Call of Duty is a arcade shooter. It's meant to be more over the top, more arcadey, more goofy in a way. Battlefield is a mil sim. It's meant to be played like a true military grounded experience, right? There's not a bunch of movement. It's really gritty, hardcore, and that's what makes Battlefield so great, right? People love the more gritty experience. Some people like Call of Duty because they like the more arcadey experience where you don't have to worry about destruction, you don't have to worry about holding positions or whatever. You can just run around and be a slayer and destroy everybody. So what we're seeing now is we're seeing COD players going to Battlefield. And of course, when they go to Battlefield, they realize that, oh, I can get a lot of kills here too. So they play like they play Call of Duty and they still end up losing the match by a crap ton of points. Why is that? Because they're not used to actually having to play an objective. Now, I'm not saying in Call of Duty that you don't play an objective. It's just in Battlefield, objective play is the core of the game. You need to play objective in order to win the match truly. Versus in Call of Duty, you could be one person on your team, get like 100 kills or something like that. And because you were killing so efficiently, your team got a W. Battlefield doesn't really work like that. You could have a crap ton of slayers on your team who just strictly run around and get kills, but then you can still lose because the other team held more objectives than you did and they had better positioning and they were able to hold points longer than you were. Battlefield is a much more complex beast because, like I said before, it is a mil sim. Call of Duty is not as complex. Now, I'm not trying to discredit, the player bases because I do. I'm going to say this, and you can disagree with me if you want to in the comment section. It's fine. Call of Duty players probably do have better gun skill than Battlefield players, but I feel like Battlefield players probably have better strategy, planning, and tactics than Call of Duty players. So with that, you're basically looking at two player bases who play different games. And if they were to go to, the other game, they probably would struggle, which makes perfect sense. And that's exactly what you're seeing here. But there should be no smack talk between the two player bases because once again, we should be able to enjoy the games that we want to play. If you like Battlefield, play Battlefield. You like Call of Duty, play Call of Duty. That's perfectly fine. But when you're trying to compare and contrast and say, "While this game is better, while we're better at this game, you suck at this game," it never really works out because I'm like, well, you're comparing two things that are completely different from one another. The only thing that these games have in common is that they are FPSs, but they're FPSs that play completely different from one another. So I feel like there should be a little bit more respect between both sides. Anyway, let me know what y'all think about this whole beef. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that. Peace.